Bring our panel in. Chris Hahn joins us today, NewsNation contributor, Democratic strategist, and so does Melik Abdul, a Republican strategist and radio talk show host. All right, gentlemen, thanks. It's good to see. It's good to see both of you. Chris, you want to go first on the president's remarks in Arizona? As I said to Kelly, that sounds like that's what he's basing his campaign on. This idea that Trump, the MAGA movement, it's dangerous. It's a threat to democracy. You should keep me in place. That's his argument, right? Does it play politically?
Yeah, I think it does. Donald Trump did ignore our, 240 years of tradition of the peaceful transfer of power in this country. He is a threat to democracy, not only here, but around the world. And he needs to be eradicated from the political system in this country. And the Democrats and Joe Biden need to figure out a way to bring this thing back to where it was. Obviously, we look at these polls right now, and they're not great. And I think Joe Biden needs to go on the attack at Donald Trump. I think he's had a free run. Clearly, the Republicans who were debating last night, they don't want to attack Donald Trump. And Joe Biden has been trying to be above the fray. But it's time for the president and all Democrats to focus their power on Donald Trump. He is the likely, almost definite GOP nominee, and He must be stopped. He's a threat to the Republic.
Well, what the Republicans are focused on today, at least today, Melik, and I think this will continue for some time, are these impeachment hearings, right? We've been covering that back and forth. And as Joe Khalil reported, and he's not the only one to say it, there are real questions about whether they're coming up with real evidence, especially at this first hearing today. Let me play you a quick clip from the hearing. This is a forensic accountant who had been called on to testify. But, he and others, it doesn't sound like the testimony is necessarily helping the Republican cause. But I want to let you react to it. This is from earlier today in the impeachment hearings. Take a listen.
I am not here today to even suggest that there was corruption, fraud, or any wrongdoing. In my opinion, more information needs to be gathered and assessed before I would make such an assessment.
All right, Melik. So if you're the Republicans, that's not exactly, I wouldn't think, what you were looking for today. What would you say about these hearings?
Well, what I heard from the gentleman there, the witness there, is the same thing that James Comer and many other Republicans have said, is that this is an initial step. That's why it's considered an impeachment inquiry. There are certain things that once you launch an inquiry that you're allowed to do around subpoenas and other things that can be done. But this wasn't to actually lay out the case against Joe Biden. There are things that we do know, according to Joe Biden's own son, Hunter, that he had to foot the bill for half of the family. Hunter Biden is the one who said that he was forced to give his father half of his salary. Right. These are the things that Hunter Biden himself said. So whether or not there's a link to Joe Biden, we don't know that yet. But I do agree it is something that we should find out as part of this impeachment inquiry.
Well, that is the real question about whether there's actual evidence of that. I'll just give you an example. Melik, let me follow up on that once before I bring Chris back in. Sean Spicer, who we all know is a contributor here at NewsNation, was on earlier today on NewsNation Now with Nichole Berlie preceding this program. And, Nichole asked Sean basically, what did you think of this? And he said it was disappointing, from a Republican perspective, that, to paraphrase Sean, they needed to come up with more, or they will need to come up with more in the future. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. And then again, this is the point that many people like James Comer and others have made. I think we conflate the James Comer with maybe people on social media or some of those very more outspoken or more provocative Republicans out there who were expecting something different. But for my purposes, I didn't expect anything different from an initial impeachment inquiry at all. So I think that the Republicans are consistent with that, despite those who might be upset that there was no smoking gun linking this to Joe Biden, which at this point, they haven't even released any of that.
Do you think it actually helps the president, Chris, or it's just basically a wash for him politically?
It helps the president. This is a ridiculous inquiry. They've had 8 months to do this. This committee has been investigating Joe Biden for 8 months before they launched this special impeachment investigation, because Kevin McCarthy's backed in the corner about everything and can't lead his caucus. This was ridiculous. It was a clown show. Their own witnesses couldn't defend why they were there. It was nonsense, and it only helps Joe Biden in the long term. Their big evidence is actually Joe Biden's Christmas card that proves that Hunter Biden is his son, and they spent some time together. That is what they're going with right now. It's a little bit I don't know, man. Look, when you elect clowns, expect the circus, and that's what we're getting from House Republicans right now.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.